What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Jake Shavink here, and we are 4 games into the NFL season, which is usually a perfect time to do a sort of check-in with your young players, your rookies, and that's what we're going to do today with safety Javon Bullard, who, as a second-round pick, was ready to slide in and play opposite Xavier McKinney in this secondary. He's done a pretty decent job. He's got 15 tackles, 2 pressures, 5 run stops, and a pass breakup through 4 weeks. So we're just going to dive into the film, take a look at what he has done well, what he needs to improve upon, and really the outlook for him going forward. So let's go to the film room, take a look at what Javon Bullard has done thus far. All right, guys, here we go into the film room, taking a look at Javon Bullard. And I think one thing you see a lot, especially in the secondary, is really good communication. And I think Hafley's doing a nice job instilling that. Here, what you're going to see is communication here, but Bullard recognizes what's happening. As soon as Goddard kind of gets into motion, he's ready to roll. Bullard sniffs out this sort of tight end screen, and the ability to close downhill and make a good tackle and limit a gain is really, really impressive. Now, as a run defender, I think this is where he has done his best work to this point, right? Attack the gap, take advantage of a receiver who doesn't really want to block too much and crash down with your teammates to stuff the run in the backfield. And you see him do a nice job on backside pursuits like this against Philly as well, where, again, he just does a really nice job. Recognition and attack downhill and limit, success in the run game. And I think you see it here, especially against Minnesota, chasing down Aaron Jones from the backside of the play. And you're going to get it in this angle as well, where, again, just recognizes what's going on, knows, when to shoot a gap, and just a closing speed to wrap up Aaron Jones, who's had a really, really good season. Same thing here, backside of the play, right, where you're getting an obvious run look to tight ends. There's a really nice job jumping the snap and being in a good position there to make a tackle. Now, missed tackles is definitely something we're going to talk about, but last one on the run defense side of things, helping out Rashawn Gary here, some stopping power there to help and again, limit gains on the ground, which is something we really like to see. Now, what else does Bullard need to work on? The tackling? He does. We kind of talked about it, right there a little bit on that backside pursuit. This is a tackle against Devonta Smith where you feel like you did a nice job closing, that you have to make that play. And another one here where focused on contacting the receiver early in the stem, that's fine, but don't lose balance, don't get out of position, getting back to your assignment in the flat, because then you start to, the panic sets in, the over-aggression sets in, and it leads to another missed tackle there. So it's something he definitely has to clean up, but you do see him make big-time tackles. Now here, Barkley finds a lane, and Bullard's the only one who's going to be able to chase him down. Good recognition, turn and run, and prevent a touchdown, which he does there. Another really good open field tackle here against Jonathan Taylor. Good timing, get low, wrap up from the ankle. Really good form tackle there. And here on the seam route to Mo Alley Cox does the same thing, right? A good form tackle. That's the type of stuff you really like to see from Bullard. And when it comes to, some of the hustle plays, helping the team out, doing his job, he does a really nice job here, right? Staying free off this block and limiting any chance of Hurts turning this sort of scramble into a big gain. You get to see this here as well, where he's playing physical. Now, sometimes, that physicality is, he's focused more on that than the play itself, but you like to see a guy who's playing physical, just really don't want to take himself out of plays. But I do think here is a really good one as well, where Bullard's the deep man on this play, but you see the screen. And what does he do a nice job of? Well, play outside leverage. You have teammates to the inside. Delay the big play here. He does a great job. Makes Jones hesitate. Other guys can come back into the play and prevent a touchdown. Now, in coverage, what do we see from Bullard? I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and I think that's to be expected, right? You're coming in, you're playing safety. Maybe some new stuff scheme-wise, but you do see some coverage instincts here. You see him in transition, recognizing, okay, Hurts' eyes, where's he going to come back to? Recognize this dig route by A.J. Brown, and he really closes quickly. Hurts has nowhere to throw that. He was definitely going to go back to that play or go back to the dig here, and you just see that closing speed, nowhere to go for Hurts. And that type of coverage instincts is what we really like to see. Here, another one where you have trips to one side of the field. Looks like stick initially. You're going to get a stick nod from Devonta Smith, but Bullard does a nice job at least sinking and kind of preventing a window early in this to where now when it's scramble mode, he doesn't have anywhere to throw the football. So again, good instincts. He's sinking into zones where he should be. This is a really nice one too, where you're a deep safety on this side of the field. Route to the flat, route crossing the middle of the field. You really don't have an assignment at this point in the play. So what do? Find the deepest receiver. And Hurts, who I think gets out of the pocket here and in scramble mode, he's going to look for Devonta Smith because McKinney's not in the window to make this play, but Bullard completely turned to Devonta Smith, and there's nowhere for Hurts to throw the football there. On the scramble drill leads to a sack. A really nice job here in coverage where sinks into the window perfectly. Hurts cannot throw the ball to A.J. Brown here. So a nice job. Yes, he finds an open window, but Bullard does his job there in coverage. Same thing here where I think you see him do a nice job. Look he's already in transition. He sees the break from the tight end, and he closes that window, forcing Richardson to again, get into scramble mode and throw elsewhere. So again, he's taking care of his coverage assignments here in backpedal. Initial threat at receiver is here. Takes care of that. Passes him off to Jair. And then we're looking for Hopkins coming towards the middle of the field. Leads to a sack. So he's taking care of assignments for sure on the back end. How about here? One-on-one, Kylen Granson. You'd love to see him continue to be able to do this. They can ask him to handle one-on-one in coverage against tight ends. Good pass breakup there on the low throw. Now, I do think this is a tough play, right? You're single high. A.J. Brown beats his man. It's just a tough position angle-wise to where you don't want him to win to the outside. You'd love to turn him back inside. So a half win, but just not a great angle against a guy who has the explosiveness to turn completions into touchdowns like that. And it's tough. Nobody's saying it isn't, but you would obviously like to limit a touchdown there. Now, I think, again, spot drop zone, it's a little harder when you're not attached to a man in coverage, but would love to see, the process speed up a little bit more on this, where instinctually realize that, okay, Hurts is looking this direction. The one guy he might be looking at that I would be responsible for is Devonta Smith here. Pretty close. He's close to making that play, but Hurts still had a window to make that throw happen. I think it's similar here where you again, nobody's really in his zone. Once you see this guy break outside, he does a nice job opening up to the field, but Richardson has already let the ball go on this dagger concept. Now he gets over there, limits yards after the catch nicely, but it would be really good, especially as we mentioned on this play specifically, where, again, recognize, out route, turn. Richardson's throwing this already, so it's a good anticipatory throw. But when he speeds up his process, mentally, I think Bullard's going to have a lot of opportunities to create turnovers, much like his teammate Xavier McKinney has done. It's the same thing here where you're in coverage. You need to be worried about this number 2 working up the seam. Richardson's already looking here. So he's still in a backpedal when Richardson's throwing this. So again, if you speed up that process, throws a little off the mark, but if you speed that process up, you have a chance to go make a play on the football. Now, I do think there's going to be opportunities for the Packers to do more of this with Javon Bullard, is to send him on a blitz, from whether he's lined up as a nickel or a strong safety, and potentially wreak havoc that way. But what he does need to do if he's going to blitz is win in one-on-ones in pass pro. I think you could say this is a win here against Aaron Jones, but it would be good to create a little more pressure, because really Darnold gets this throw off pretty clean. Overall, though, I think Bullard has shown plenty of bright spots. The run game looks really good. As a blitzer, he is taking care of coverage assignments, plenty on the back end. There were way more than we could have shown in a short video like this. But once he speeds up that process a little more, right, and improves his consistency as a tackler, he's going to be a big-time playmaker in the secondary, and him and McKinney being able to kind of switch roles more often is going to happen on this defense. So I'm excited for Javon Bullard going forward, and I think you guys all should be as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this one on Javon Bullard. If you did, throw a like down there, subscribe if you're new. Plenty more content on the way very, very soon. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Farewell.